have this power of thought, which you're talking about having the ability to even travel through light, leaving your mind and traveling light. You can actually connect to other realms, other dimensions through conscious thought. Quantum entangling your light waves with other light waves that exist in the universe, not only in the third dimension, but even multiple dimensions.
Right. So, like quantum entanglement, for those who don't understand, are two basically atoms that are entangled with one another, even if they are at vast distances.
Right.
Right. And Einstein called it, spooky. Right, because he didn't understand what was going on.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? But we understand. He ain't spooky.
He said the spooky action at a distance.
Yeah.
You can entangle atoms, you can entangle photons, which are lights. Right.
So you think that's what happened when people fall in love? They consider to be soulmates?
I think it happens. Well, your mind can entangle with somebody on the other side of the universe. A lot of the times, you can say, oh, I came up with this great idea.
Right.
But you really didn't. You just downloaded that idea because you entangled with the information.
Entangled.
That's all it is. All information actually exists. And now, like big-time mainstream quantum physicists and theoretical physicists are admitting that this is true now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not woo-woo science no more. This is like what you're getting taught in university. When I was at MIT studying applied neuroscience, one of the things we learned about was this exact thing. The fact that not only can you walk in a room, like you were saying earlier, and you can sense the vibe, and you can actually transmit negative or positive energy to somebody. Somebody's at a low frequency, and you walk in positive and high frequency enough, your light being can actually raise their energy level.
Right.
And if you're not high enough and they're low, they can actually drop your energy level.
Right.
It depends on how strong you are consciously. And then also we talked about the fact that we can entangle with information throughout the entire multiverse. So information can even come from other universes in your own mind. If you're able to discern the information, you can actually then, if you can put the action behind it, it could be one of the greatest inventions. It could be Web3. It could be, whatever we got going on now. NFTs, or whatever. All this stuff comes from other places.
So biophotons is what I wanted to get to. Because biophotons to me is very interesting because I think it's like taking the concept of science and physics and being able to apply it. You understand me in a real world sense and connect, yourself and your willpower, right? It was Dr. Wesley. He has the Book of God, and he has a very, very dope book, very amazing book. Everybody should study it. But he gives a breakdown about photons, and this is one of my first introductions to it when he was talking about a study that was done at this university, to study biophoton levels, which is basically, for those who don't know, is light within the human body.
Right.
And so one of the things that they studied was the fact that during a time that a patient was sick, you understand me, the light that they emitted glowed brighter, right? And of course that was because the body was working to heal itself.
Yeah.
And the thought process was that if you go back to ancient human being origins, that those human beings were just light beings, complete light beings. And as I'm positing this thought right now, as melanin, you understand me, overtook those bodies, and you're talking about, that very dark melanin, and then you have light, piercing out of that, which used to be where hair follicles are. You understand me? Then you're talking about a blue aura or a blue hue, right? And so in ancient texts where you see a lot of the blue representation of gods or beings, there were the representation of the original man and woman as light beings.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I connected to science more so is the idea that, our mind has light within it, right? And it communicates directly with the light outside us. And then this is scientifically proven that we can think things and bend the wheel of reality around us. Like the Matrix plays with our concepts and ideas. The spoon doesn't exist idea. But more so is, each one of us have different levels of consciousness and conscious power.
Yeah.
And the ability to bend and change reality around us, which is also a very masculine trait because testosterone increases that biophotonic energy. You understand me, within the body. So depleted testosterone depletes willpower as well.
Yeah.
So it's saying that, for me, I always say that one act of masculinity is willpower, the ability to take thoughts outside your mind and produce them into reality.
Yeah.
So if you have a people who are not able to produce their thoughts, then those people are lost without that will, right? Without that power, without that godliness. And so that's something that I think about often as I see our brothers and sisters hoping and wishing and trying to bring things forth, but they just can't because that light inside them is dead.
Dead. Plus, a lot of the male in this society right now, they're being emasculated. It's chemical based.
Yes.
It's the food.
Chemical
it's the
castration.
Chemical castration, man. It's all these microplastics that are, we're inhaling them, we're eating them. It's in the food, it's in everything. They did a test on those microplastics. They were converting male frogs into women.
Right.
Through this is stuff. So
that's a hell of a leap.
It's a big leap. That's a big leap.
Let me resist myself, y'all.
Oh man, but it's so true, and so it's taking away the testosterone levels in men are the lowest it's been since they've been recording.
Right.
And so
the testosterone levels in men has been the lowest it's been since they have been recording.
To that effect, what you're saying is, the levels are dropping, and the ability for people to make,
and just the fact that they're recording testosterone levels in men, I guess it's when they take your blood, when you give blood, or when you go in for your exams, they're testing your testosterone level, your estrogen level, especially in black people. Okay?
men to make a lot of logical decisions is also dropping.
Right.
You see men now operating more off of emotion versus logic.
Right.
That balance of logic versus emotion isn't there anymore.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot more men that are more emotional than women.
Yes.
So their plan is working out, and the plan for them really is to not let us discover our light body. Not let us discover our light consciousness and the power that we really truly have inside of us to change and bend and mold this matrix to our will and overcome and supersede where they are.
Right.
What they want us to do is just continue to stay in these small little pockets, fighting each other over scraps, and not really ever getting to the higher levels and realizing that we're supposed to be able to bring our heaven right here to this earth right now.
And see, that reminds me of when you talk about the beings that can see and they look down, right? Like you imagine somebody in a tower looking down on the people playing the game of the rat race, but they can see dimensions. They can see where the people are headed. They can see all different angles, right? And those are the people, what considered to be the 1%. You understand me? And then, of course, that can be translated into multi-different, names and forms and species and things of that nature. But the ruling class, if you will, you understand me? The manipulating class, those who practice technology and deceit on the rest of the population to not know their power.
Right.
Like, the greatest trick of the devil is to get you to not know that you're God.
That's it.
You understand me? Because the moment that you have self-realization of your power, number one, you stop looking at them to help manage you discover it.
Exactly.
Because if we go to chattel slavery times, and I like to say chattel slavery just because it's such a different form than the rest of the slavery.
Yeah.
But chattel slavery is all about breaking that knowledge of self and that knowing of who you are. Because how can you make a slave unless he is completely dependent upon your will?
Exactly.
In the test,
And see,
testosterone-filled masculine slaves were
when
the hardest ones to break. The ones that
when you completely dependent on them with their food stamps and Section 8, and you never learn to fend for yourself, you never learn to purchase your own properties, you never learn to grow your own foods, you never learn to develop a trade or a skill to be able to trade and barter. When you're completely dependent on them, you're little by little giving up your intellect, giving up your power to manifest, your power to uh take care of yourself, your power to reach your God self, because you're just sitting around with your head up your fucking ass smoking weed all day and not even thinking or exercising your brain, exercising your manifesting powers, okay, for your true intentions when you're dependent on others, okay?
have their own faith and belief systems because they weren't going to relinquish that power to someone else.
Right.
No, they fought, and there were insurrections all throughout times because that willpower was fighting another will.
Yeah.
You understand me? And so now what we got is more so Chris Rock, where you don't fight the will no more. You just let it slap you around. You understand me? I just had to drop another one.
Exactly. You know, people have become males have become like Chris Rocks. You know what I'm saying? They just now it's oh, Chris Rock is such a great man. He didn't even retaliate. You know what I'm saying? When Chris Rock should have took his fucking sword and, you know, at another time, medieval times or whatever, Chris Rock would have took his fucking sword and chopped Will Smith head off. But because there's such demasculation going on, you know, it's actually more honorable to walk away. But like I used to say on my other channel, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time for peace and there is a time for war. There is a fucking time for war. There, yes, there's a time to love, but there is a time to hate. You should love so much that you hate the shit that's going down. Okay? The true definition of tyranny and what's the word? The true definition of basically um people being traitors is that good men sit down and do nothing. Good men, good women sit down and do nothing. Okay? That is a true definition of, I believe the word is tyranny. I could be wrong, but y'all get the idea. All right? But y'all watch the rest of that video, man. Good stuff. Peace.